If I tell you a woman slept inside the river and lived to speak, you will say, I'm lying. But I swear by the gods of Umuishi, I saw it with my own eyes. And not just me, the whole village. If I had not seen it with my own two eyes, I would not believe such a thing could happen in this world. Even now, when I pass by the Im River on my way to the farm, a shiver passes through my bones. What we saw in our village that rainy season is not something for casual talk. But since you asked, and since it is good for young people to know that the world has corners, I will tell you what happened to Nuanica, the woman who slept in the river. It started during the Harmattan of 1997 that year. The Harmattan came late, and when it came, it brought with it more than just dust and dry wind. It brought tension. People say when nature misbehaves, spirits walk freely. Maybe they are right. Nuenica was the second wife of Ozomina, a wealthy yam farmer in our village. She was younger than his first wife, Mamangadika, and much more beautiful. Skin like polished turquoise, seed teeth white like peeled goosey, eyes sharp and bold. When she walked into the market, even married men adjusted their wrappers and greeted her too loudly. But beauty, my son, beauty is a strange gift. It opens doors, yes, but sometimes it opens the wrong ones. There'd always been whispers about some said she was not from Ikoba as she claimed. Others believed she was a water spirit who took human form to marry a rich man. You know how villagers talk. But then more people began to see her. Kiyamaka, a widow who fished at the riverbank, swore she heard a woman humming deep in the reeds after midnight, a soft, haunting lullaby one her late grandmother used to sing. She swore it was Nuanika's voice. Then came the day of the Hua festival. All the women gathered at the village square in their best wrappers and coral beads. Nuanika came late, barefoot, with wet hair clinging to her neck. Her wrapper was soaked up to her chest. She said she slipped and fell into a stream on her way to the square. But there was no stream on that path. And then the strangest thing happened. When the drummers began to beat the udu drum and the young maidens danced, Nuanika stood up and danced too. But her movements were not of this world. Her arms moved like fish fins. Her waist swayed like a serpent. The entire square fell silent as she spun in a circle and dropped to her knees. Her eyes were open, but she wasn't seeing us. She had fallen into a trance. Old Mama Iba, who had once served in the shrine of the river goddess, stood up and said in a trembling voice, "This one is not entirely human." Her husband Ozomina laughed it off and took her home. But something in the air had shifted. From that day, Ozomina began to grow thin. His yams rotted in the barn. His goats stopped breeding. His children with the first wife began to fall ill. And every time something strange happened, someone would say, "Check the river." That's where she hides her true face. The breaking point came one Thursday morning. Ozomina's eldest son Tachuku followed his stepmother one night after she left the house in silence. She often said she couldn't sleep and would walk to clear her head. But that night, he followed her barefoot through cassava farms, past the shrine of Allah, until he reached the riverbank. He didn't speak for 2 days after what he saw. When he finally did, he said she was floating, not swimming, floating above the water like a calabash, arms spread wide, eyes glowing faintly. And then she disappeared beneath the surface for nearly an hour. When he told his father, Ozomina, the man collapsed. The village elders were called. Mama Iba was summoned. The Debia Okafor came from Nemo to perform divit. He threw his cowries, consulted the chalk, and said, "She is not fully of this world. The woman sleeps in the river." The next day, we followed her. The whole village hid among the bushes. When the moon climbed to the sky, she came like clockwork, ring, her white wrapper, head bare, feet dirty. She walked into the river, deeper and deeper, until the water swallowed her. She did not come out. We waited till morning. The Debia threw charms into the water. He called her name thrice. Nothing. Just before we gave up, the sky changed color. The river began to swirl, turning dark as palm oil. And then she rose. Yes, rose from the water like mist, her eyes white, her skin glowing. But this time, her voice was not human. She spoke. "I warned you," she said in a voice that came from beneath the earth. "He broke his vow. He made promises at my shrine. He swore by my name to never take another." That's when we knew the truth. Ozomina had once made a vow by the river goddess's shrine in a moment of desperation, when his barn was empty and his debts were high. He swore before the goddess Inin that if his fortunes turned, he would serve her and never take a second wife. But greed makes men forget. He became wealthy and took Nuanica, not knowing that the goddess had given him wealth and had now come to collect. That morning, as the sun rose, Nuanica vanished into the water. We never saw her again. Ozomina became a shell of himself. His wealth dried up. His farm failed. He began to sit outside his compound, staring at nothing, muttering to himself. Before the year ended, he was buried beside his barn. And as for the river, no one goes near it at night. Not even goats. They say, sometimes, if the night is quiet and the moon is full, you can still hear a woman humming just beneath the surface. I've heard it once, and I will never go back there. So, my son, if you ever make a promise to the spirits, keep it. And if you see a beautiful woman standing alone by the river, walk away. Not every beauty was born under the sun. So now, Whenever the moon is full and the wind carries that eerie humming from Eam River, we do not look. We do truly came back.